Once upon a time, there was a family with a son named Halvor. Halvor didn't like doing any work, he just sat around in the ashes. His parents tried to send him to learn different things, but Halvor always ran away after a few days and came back home. One day, a sea captain asked Halvor if he wanted to go on an adventure with him to see new places. Halvor liked the idea and quickly got ready. They sailed for a long time, but one day, there was a big storm. When it calmed down, they found themselves on a strange coast where they had never been before. Halvor wanted to explore the land, so he asked the captain if he could go ashore. The captain was unsure because Halvor had ragged clothes, but he finally agreed, telling Halvor to come back if the wind picked up. On land, Halvor found himself in a beautiful country with wide fields, but he didn't see anyone around. He walked until he saw a big castle with lights on. He was hungry but also scared as he got closer. Inside the castle, Halvor found a fancy kitchen with no people around. He went further inside and saw a princess spinning at a wheel. The princess was surprised to see Halvor and warned him about a three-headed troll who lived in the castle. She told him to leave before the troll found him, but Halvor refused to go. He asked for food because he was very hungry. After eating, the princess asked Halvor to try using a sword on the wall, but he couldn't lift it. She told him to drink from a bottle nearby, saying it would help him. After drinking, Halvor could easily handle the sword. Just then, the troll arrived, and Halvor hid behind the door. The troll smelled human blood and entered the room. Halvor bravely fought the troll and cut off all its heads. The princess was overjoyed to be free, but she remembered her sisters who were still captured. Halvor asked where they were, and she told him about 2 castles where her sisters were held. They decided to go and rescue them. Halvor helped clean up the troll's body, and they ate and drank together. The next morning, Halvor set off towards the castle where one of the sisters was held. He walked all day until he reached the castle, which was grander than the first one. The second princess was surprised to see Halvor and warned him about a big troll with 6 heads living in the castle. She told him to leave to stay safe. But Halvor said he wasn't afraid of the troll, and he was hungry after his journey. The princess gave him food and tried to make him leave again, but he refused. He wanted to stay and help. The princess gave him a special drink to help him use the troll's sword. When the troll came, Halvor fought bravely and cut off all its heads. The princess was happy but remembered her sisters who were still captured. Halvor wanted to help, so he agreed to go to the other castle where one of her sisters was held. It was a long journey, but he was determined to save her. "Yes, even if he had 9 more heads, I wouldn't leave," said Halvor confidently as he stood by the stove. The princess pleaded with him to leave before the troll could harm him, but Halvor stood his ground. He was ready to face the troll whenever it came. She gave him the troll's sword and told him to take a sip from the flask so he could use it. Suddenly, the troll arrived, breathing heavily. It was much bigger than the others and had to squeeze through the door sideways. "It smells like there's Christian blood here," exclaimed the troll. Halvor swiftly cut off the troll's heads, one by one. The last head was the toughest, but Halvor was determined to defeat it. With all the princesses reunited, they were overjoyed. They offered Halvor his choice of bride, but he favored the youngest sister. However, Halvor felt a longing to see his parents again. The princesses assured him he could return home safely if he followed their advice. They dressed him in royal clothes and gave him a magical ring. They warned him not to mention their names or throw away the ring, or he would lose everything. Halvor agreed to their conditions and set off for home, grateful for their help. "I wish I were home, or home were here," exclaimed Halvor. Suddenly, his wish came true. He found himself standing outside his parents' cottage in the darkening night. His parents were amazed to see such a grand stranger and greeted him with respect. Halvor asked if he could stay for the night, but his parents, taken aback by his grandeur, suggested he go to the nearby farm where they could accommodate him better. However, Halvor insisted on staying. His parents, lacking proper hospitality, encouraged him to go to the farm for food and shelter, but Halvor preferred to stay with them even if it meant sitting by the hearth. They talked about various things, and eventually, Halvor asked if they ever had a child. They mentioned a lazy boy named Halvor who disappeared, unsure if he was alive or dead. Halvor wondered if he could be that boy, but his parents doubted it, describing their son as lazy and ragged. However, when the fire lit up and revealed Halvor's face, his mother recognized him instantly. "Is that really you, Halvor?" exclaimed his mother, overjoyed to see him. She couldn't contain her happiness, and Halvor shared all that had happened to him. His mother, thrilled with him, hurried to the farm to show off Halvor to the girls who had once looked down on him. Halvor followed her. When they arrived, his mother boasted about Halvor's return and praised his magnificence. The girls, however, thought he would still be the same unkempt boy. Just then, Halvor entered, stunning the girls so much that they fled, embarrassed, leaving their clothes behind. When they returned, they were too ashamed to meet Halvor's gaze. Halvor reminded them of the princesses he had rescued, praising their beauty. He wished they were there to show the girls. Suddenly, the princesses appeared beside him. Despite their arrival, Halvor felt sad, remembering the girls' earlier unkindness. A feast was prepared for the princesses at the farm, but they preferred to visit Halvor's parents. They went outside and found a lovely spot by a pond where they could sit and enjoy the view. They found a nice spot by the pond, and the youngest princess suggested combing Halvor's hair. He laid his head on her lap, and she gently combed it until he fell asleep. While he slept, she exchanged her ring with another and whispered to her sisters, "Hold on to me tightly. Let's wish to be at Soria Moria Castle." When Halvor woke up, he realized the princesses were gone. He felt so sad that he couldn't stop crying, despite his parents' attempts to console him. He refused to stay and bid them farewell, believing he would never see them again. Without the princess, life didn't seem worth living. With $300 in his pocket, he set off once more. Along the way, he met a man selling a decent horse. Halvor wanted to buy it and haggled with the man. The horse wasn't great for pulling things but was excellent for riding. They agreed on a price, and Halvor loaded his provisions onto the horse. Sometimes he walked, and sometimes he rode. At night, he rested under a large tree, letting the horse graze. In the morning, they continued their journey, walking and riding through the woods. They walked and rode for what seemed like forever until, on the second evening, they saw a light shining through the trees. Halvor reached the source of the light and found a tiny, run-down cottage. Inside, he saw two very old people, as gray-haired as pigeons. The old woman had an exceptionally long nose, which she used to stir the fire. "Good evening," greeted the old woman. "But what brings you here?" "No one has visited us in over 100 years." Halvor explained that he was trying to find Soria Moria Castle and asked if they knew the way. "I'm afraid not," replied the old woman. "But the moon will be here soon, and she might know. She sees everything with her bright light." Later, when the moon appeared in the sky, the old woman called out to her for directions. However, the moon couldn't help because she had been obscured by a cloud when she shone over the castle. "Wait a bit longer," advised the old woman. "The west wind will arrive shortly, and he might know the way. He blows into every corner and may have seen the castle." When the old woman returned, she noticed Halvor's horse. She suggested exchanging it for a pair of old boots that could carry him 15/4 of a mile with each step. Halvor agreed, and the old woman was overjoyed with the horse. She urged Halvor to rest on the bench while they waited for the west wind. They had no bed to offer him. She promised to keep watch for the wind's arrival. Before long, the powerful west wind arrived, causing the walls to creak with its mighty roar. The old woman hurried outside and called, "West Wind! West Wind! Can you guide this traveler to Soria Moria Castle?" "I know the way very well," replied the west wind. "I'm actually heading there to help dry the clothes for the upcoming wedding. If he's quick on his feet, he can come along with me." Halvor dashed out. "You'll need to be fast if you want to keep up," warned the west wind, racing over hills and valleys, through marshes and meadows. Halvor struggled to keep pace. "I have no time to wait," said the west wind. "I must first tear down a spruce tree before going to the bleaching ground to dry the clothes. Follow along the hillside, and you'll soon reach some girls washing clothes. From there, it's not far to Soria Moria Castle." Halvor soon found the girls washing clothes. They asked if he had seen the west wind, who was supposed to dry the clothes for the wedding. "Yes," replied Halvor, "he's just breaking down a spruce tree. He'll be here soon." He asked them for directions to the castle, and they pointed him in the right direction. As Halvor approached the castle, he saw it bustling with horses and people. However, he was so ragged and torn from following the west wind through bushes and bogs that he stayed on the sidelines, avoiding the crowd until the last day when the feast was set to begin at noon. During the wedding celebration, it was customary for everyone to raise their glasses to toast the bride, the groom, and the young ladies present. The cupbearer went around filling each person's cup, from the bride and groom to the knights and servants. Finally, after a long while, he reached Halvor. He drank to their happiness and secretly dropped the ring given to him by the princess into his glass. He instructed the cupbearer to deliver the glass to the bride and greet her on his behalf. Upon receiving the glass, the princess immediately stood up and asked, "Who is more deserving of one of us, the one who saved us from the trolls or the one who sits here as the groom?" Everyone agreed that Halvor was the rightful choice. Upon hearing this, Halvor wasted no time. He cast off his ragged clothes and dressed himself as a groom. "He's the one," exclaimed the youngest princess when she saw him. She then tossed the other groom out of the window, and she married Halvor.